We're going to take a break because our halftime headliner is coming up next. The final stages of makeup are being applied as we speak. He is standing right off our set, and he is Jim Cramer. He has a new book. It's called How to Make Money in Any Market. He joins us right here at Post 9 next. News on Capitol Hill with Emily Wilkins. Hey, Em, what do we have?
Hey, Scott. Well, it looks like the government shutdown is going to be going on for a little while longer. The Senate just tried again and failed again to pass a 7-week stopgap that would allow the government to remain funded or get back to being funded, rather. And like last night, we saw 3 Senate Democrats join with Republicans in voting for it. But of course, the magic number is 8 Senate Democrats. They don't have that at this point. And it seems like a number of Democrats, they're still holding out. They still want to see some sort of leverage or some sort of movement on getting these Affordable Care Act tax credits reapproved, so they know that a number of their constituents are not going to see higher health care costs next year. But of course, now that we are in a shutdown, the pain of that shutdown is about to become very apparent, both to a number of furloughed federal employees as well as contractors who deal with the government, and then a number of other things, including the job numbers on Friday. At this point, the Senate does not seem likely to take another vote on the CR today. Of course, anything can change. And then they are off tomorrow, which means the next opportunity they would have to stop a government shutdown would be on Friday. And we'll continue to give you any updates as we give them, Scott.
Okay. Emily, thank you. That's Emily Wilkins on Capitol Hill. As you see, she said the magic number is 8, apropos because this is Jim Cramer's 8th book. It is called How to Make Money in Any Market. And Jim is here with us now. Congrats on this new work.
Thank you for having me. The show has been unbelievable as always, and I love the discussion at the top about you just got to go with the flow, and I feel that's true.
You feel pretty good. We'll get to the book obviously in 2 seconds.
Sure.
You feel pretty good about stocks heading into Q4?
Yeah, I still do. I'm looking at certain stocks that just can't quit. I mean, the old line names like a Western Digital keeps going. Seagate names that we know for ages, forever. And I just find that what's happened is people have a groove. And they say, listen, I can keep paying up for these and up for these and up for these. And then out of nowhere, healthcare explodes. I mean, and Merck, which has just been a terrible form because of 5. Just using these as an analog, is each day it seems like there's something that comes alive with pleasure. Okay, so with pleasure is how you've talked about the markets and stocks for all of these years. But you do pride yourself on being a teacher and trying to, export your knowledge to help people become better investors. You call this a how-to book. In what sense? Well, look, I think that what I'm trying to do is democratize things. I want people to be at home to be every bit as good as you guys in terms of facility. All right, you're pure stock pickers, but I want people to understand what you say because it's incredibly valuable. And I want, for instance, I spend a huge amount of time on the PE multiple. What's the multiple? Because I never hear anybody talk about it. I talk about what my mom and my late dad, the mistakes that they made. Like my mom felt that Pepsi, if it was at 100, was twice as expensive as Coca-Cola at 50, and that bothered her. We can't do that. We have to help people. My father always wanted to buy the greatest tip in the world. And he destroyed us on a company called National Video, which was a company that made vacuum tubes right at the height of when solid state came out. So we have to know what we own. We have to like it. And we can't just say, you know what, buy and hold. You have to buy and do homework. All these things are about trying to get people to be.
I like to buy and do homework.
Yeah, because people
I like
say,
that.
hey, listen, I'm going to buy a stock and just do great. And I make these mistakes. I bought Bristol Myers, and I didn't do enough homework on Bristol Myers.
But you want people to be investors, not traders at their core.
Yeah, I mean, what happens? Look, I think that, and I was a professional trader for a long time, I just think that a lot of people are at home. They're watching Mad Money when they get home, and they can't compete with people who are just driven and know every piece of data. But they can, on the other hand, find some long-term stocks and compound, and we all think that compounding is terrific.
All right, Jim, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
To your point, Chapter 4, Finding an Edge. Chapter 20, Lesson 2, your stocks will tell you when to sell. As an investor in an environment that you and I both know, market structure has changed dramatically. What's the simplest way that you could do that?
The simplest way you can tell it is that you take a look at what just goes down and down and down. Then you look at the balance sheet. I actually give. Right? I've never done the multiple stuff, and I've never done the balance sheet stuff. You take a look at the balance sheet. I mean, a lot of people can't read it, but you know what we got? We have chat, we have perplexity, we have Grok, and you can ask them to take a look at the balance sheet and tell you whether it has too much debt. People have to start doing that. And the people who just say, listen, you just only need to be in index funds, they don't realize that if you want to go look at Bausch Health, Thank you for telling me how bad Bausch Health was. You can go in and say, is that balance sheet any good? And it'll tell you, no, it's horrendous.
But the other thing that you focused on historically, as we've known each other, is that if you know more about the company, you're more comfortable owning it and actually buying more to increase your return in turbulent times in the market.
Yes. I remember my father sold boxes and bags for a living. We used to go to the Franklin Mills, this giant retail mall. And we would go on Saturday, and he says, we're going to get in front of Gantos, which Goldman liked at the time. There'll be no customers. We sat there in front of it for 5 hours. No one bought anything. It was one of the greatest shorts I ever had. I mean, that's,
that was the Cramer channel check in the parking lot.
But he said at the end, he said, we got to go in and buy something. This is a horrible day for them.
And let me ask you this. Has your view of what you think the quote-unquote right portfolio should look like as you've evolved, as the markets have evolved? We grew up, it's 60-40 was the way people talked about the markets, but things are so different now. Investors have different and greater access to more securities and asset classes than they probably have ever had. How do you think about that?
Okay, I'm really glad you brought that up, because one of the major themes of the book, and it's very radical and antithetical, but I think it shouldn't be to everybody here, is that you can own index funds and you can own some individual stocks. If you hear something that you like here and you can research it, you can make that one of what I call your 5-stock portfolio, with one actually can be speculative. Yes, if you want to own an Oclo, be my guest. You can have one of those after it's up 80 points.
Only one?
But yes, on a 5-stock portfolio, but I also want index funds. And look, we look at the Trump funds, these new funds where you'll get $1,000.
Right.
That's all index funds. So maybe you also buy 1 or 2 stocks for a baby, because I've got to tell you, individual stocks, whether it be FANG from 2013 or whether it be NVIDIA, they can change your life. I did a book signing yesterday at Barnes & Noble, and there were a couple people who were moved to tears because they had retired because of NVIDIA.
And Jim, I've seen it firsthand. I'll let you in a second. I've seen it. I've seen people come up to you at various places that we've been and say very similar things. And it's so moving to see the impact that you've had on all of these years through all of these books on the individual investor out there.
A policeman came up to me yesterday and said that he had made $1 million on NVIDIA. And it changed his life. But he has a calling. He's still doing his job because it's not really a job for him. But it's nice when you see a regular person, someone stop you on the street and say, listen, I made $1 million on NVIDIA. It's very moving for me and for him.
Liz?
How do you, in a market like this, it's called How to Make Money in Any Market. The way you've made money in this market is to be a concentrated investor, right? You talk about diversification in here. How do you tell somebody to stay diversified in a market like this, where it's like, if you just owned those 10 stocks, you made a lot of money. If you were diversified, it was worked against you.
It's a trick of diversification, Liz. I say you can only be diversified among growth stocks. I have a list of sectors that I say you can't buy because they're trading stocks. And that after you drop one after another, what you're left with is growth. And I want you to be diversified among growth stocks only, because I don't want more than one decision unless the company's fundamentals deteriorate, and then you sell.
All right. Here it is again. How to Make Money in Any Market. It's Jim Cramer. Again, it's number 8.
Thank you, buddy.
Busy man on all these.
Thank you.
Tell our viewers quickly what's coming up for you tonight on Mad.
Okay, well, I've got a company that I think you all know that has just been eviscerated since a great last quarter, J-Bill. And they give you a good sense of how you can move your manufacturing around, maybe able to deal with the tariffs. And plus, I'm dealing with I always like to look at the third quarter when we get to the fourth quarter. And sure enough, the third quarter winners are insanely great today. Maybe there's just don't fight the tape, don't fight the Fed.
Yeah.
Well, I love the show.
That's the way a lot of people are thinking. And there's a place for you anytime you want it. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you. And remember, when you guys mention ideas, people should now say, I'm going to do my research. I really like that. And there's plenty of ways to research that didn't exist when we got in the business.
Buy and do your homework.
Thank you.
All right, Jimmy. Thank you. That's Jim Cramer. The headlines now with Silvana Hanau. Hi, Silvana.